Biodiversity loss in the Great Lakes, a focus on invasive species. The Great Lakes are considered a national treasure by many. They provide drinking water to over 40 million people and contain 20% of the world's fresh surface water. What is biodiversity? Biodiversity refers to the variety of life on Earth at all its levels, genes to ecosystems. It can encompass evolutionary, ecological, and cultural processes that sustain life. We're all connected, and each creature is important and plays a significant role no matter how big or small they are. The term biodiversity is a contraction of biological and diversity. Biodiversity provides ecosystems that produce clean air and water, pest control, pollination of plants, and oxygen. Each habitat needs a large variety of species to maintain stability. In the infographic, it has how wetlands work. But yeah, each habitat needs to have a large variety of all different species. And when biodiversity gets low, all those things such as clean air and water, pollination of plants, and oxygen are all negatively impacted. Biodiversity also provides data scientists need to understand nature and origins of Earth, raw materials for consumption and production. It creates tourism and recreation, and medicinal and pharmaceutical benefits from plants and herbs as well. There are 5 main causes of biodiversity loss: overexploitation, which is overharvesting, such as overhunting and fishing. Habitat loss and degradation can be from natural causes or human activities like deforestation and climate change caused by humans. Climate change is the increase of temperature in the atmosphere. It impacts the environment in many, many ways, such as glacial melting, rising sea levels, more storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, stuff like that. Pollution, air, water, and land pollution, along with nutrient loading, are threats to all forms of life on Earth. And number 5 is invasive species. So invasive species are animals or plants from another region of the world that don't belong in their new environment. They can be introduced to an area by ship, ballast water, accidental release, but most often it is by humans. So they can lead to extinction of native plants and animals. It can destroy biodiversity, and it permanently alters habitats. So there are 3 invasive species in the Great Lakes region that I focus on with the groups that I work with, which is the Great Lakes Alliance and Wisconsin Bat Program. For this presentation, I'm just going to focus on the zebra mussels and quagga mussels, aquatic invasive species, rather than the white nose syndrome in bats. That is for another time and place. So zebra mussels are native to the Caspian Sea. Quagga mussels are from the Ukraine. They're barely the size of a penny, but they cause huge economic and environmental destruction. So ballast water is pumped in and out of ships to maintain balance as they're sailing. It is a time-worn pathway for mussels to a lot of different places, and definitely the Great Lakes. So they have root-like threads of protein called byssal threads that allow them to attach themselves to hard surfaces. So they attach themselves to structures and also to native species. So how do they kill the native species? So starvation. They outcompete other filter feeders, filtering out algae that native aquatic species need to survive. So that starves them. Incapacitation. They attach to the host with their byssal threads, incapacitating it and leading to death of that native animal. Toxins, blue-green algae blooms. So because of their filter feeding, toxins biomagnify, which causes an increase in blue-green algae blooms. Cyanobacteria, which kills everything from cattle to dogs, causes sickness in humans. It is a very toxic. It causes dead zones, all kinds of issues. Toxins causing avian botulism. So the mussels create a perfect breeding environment for avian botulism. So it attacks the nervous system of waterfowl. It paralyzes the birds' necks and wings, and that leads them to drown. It's a really terrible death. And the birds impacted are loons, ducks, gulls, cormorants, and also the endangered piping plovers have been really impacted. So, speaking of avian botulism, according to the Michigan Sea Grant, avian botulism has been responsible for over 80,000 bird deaths in the Great Lakes since 1999. Once these factors lead to the production of the toxin in food material eaten by fish, it is passed up the food chain as birds consume the infected fish. So, here is kind of how that all starts. They biomagnify in the mussels, birds, fish, and then either the birds die, we can, eat, humans can bring the fish home, eat them, their families can get sick. And this is just a map of all the different invaders. As you see, Lake Superior, most of my pictures are from Lake Superior and Lake Michigan, where the quagga and the zebra mussels are the huge concern. Lake Huron, Lake Erie have a lot of invasive plants that have caused a lot of issues. But as far as aquatic invasive species go, the Lake Superior and Michigan are kind of the ones that I have focused on the last couple of years. Invasive species start and stop with humans. So human activity is the number one way we can prevent the threat of invasive species, and it's the number one way that the threat is becoming worse. Take action, stop aquatic hitchhikers. There are all different things that you can do to help stop invasive species in your area. So bait dumping, cleaning out your trailer hitch, your boat, your motors before going, to a different waterway. So there is fines and different regulations and laws in all different states. There is a link here for U.S. Fish and Wildlife. You can search by your zip code. And then get to know invasive species in the area. So the more you know what to look for, the more you can help. So this actually, if you click there, you can get to know your area and what, invasive species are the problem there and what to look for. And then you can also get a complete list of invasive species, best management practices, divided up by recreational activity, vehicles and equipment. So fishing, boating, camping, hiking, spelunking, all that, if you want to click there. And that is it. Here's my information and image sources. Thank you so much.